everybody. How you doing? Good to see you again. I hope you enjoy this video and welcome back to my channel. Okay, um, I'm doing things just a little bit different for right now. You know, I'm just kind of scattered. Okay, I'm not a one-trick pony. I have a lot of different, interests and things that I want to do, and I hope you do too. And if not, that's okay. No big deal. So anyway, what I want to do is on this video, I want to show, I don't know how many, 2 to 3 um, other channels that I like to watch, and I get a lot of information from and insight, and it just makes my life more open, more yeah, more whatever. So what I want to do is bring you along with me. So I'm gonna, you know, well, in this one, okay, I've got a couple of historians, and I don't know what else I might throw in there. We'll just have to see what happens. So hang on to your seat, and here we go. Okay, now these clips are Heather Cox Richardson. She is amazing. She is she's a historian. She's a professor of history, and she's one of the smartest people I know. She knows. She's like a walking encyclopedia. So, and that's why I want to show her clips, and I hope you check her out. And it takes more than one video. Check somebody out. And go to their uh, community page or homepage and all that stuff, and just see what's there. You might like it. Okay, here we go.
Now, I do not have a short temper. I have like virtually no temper, but boy, when it goes, man. So this thing that Trump has pulled in Washington D.C. and everybody the deployment of certain troops in Washington D.C. and the federalization or the oversight of law enforcement in Washington D.C. Um, is, to my mind, a demonstration of power. I mean, he did a very similar thing in Los Angeles. And in fact, those troops did very little except demonstrate the federal government's power. They're
Power
no
and
longer.
weakness.
Pardon me?
Power and weakness, right? So they're demonstrating power, but they only need to do that because they're weak.
Well, that's a good corrective because where I am with that is I am so freaking sick of the media and everybody jumping whenever Donald Trump does anything. And I am beyond it. I am at this point feeling like we, the American people, need to say something that I said to you earlier that I won't repeat live, and stop jumping when they say to jump, and instead start telling them what their jobs are, start redefining them as un-American, start saying you don't understand what a democracy is, and this is what our government should do. It's not just the troops in Washington D.C. or in LA. There's a lot of things that shouldn't be happening. There are things like, I'm sorry, concentration camps I'm not okay with. You know what? I'm also not okay with the fact that our system is rigged so that the very wealthy are walking away with the store. I'm not okay with the fact that childcare is almost impossible for people to afford. And don't even start me on housing. I just
Yes,
prison
there's
gerrymandering. It just everything.
yes. No, that's totally right. And your point,
are the tariffs and the economy. And the tariffs haven't really kicked in yet. And once again, Trump has put off the Chinese tariffs for another, I think it's 90 days, maybe it's 60 days. I always have trouble sixes and nines, but that's something that you can't miss. This 50% tariff on products from Brazil is going to hit coffee, among other things. So just shoot me now. But is it tariffs or something like that, or is it one of the things that really truly horrifies me are these detention camps.
Right.
That, and yet there seems to be an almost blackout of information on those, and the real, especially for the one in the Everglades, which I refuse to call by that cutesy name. There really is an attempt to black out what's actually happening there. I mean, is that something that will wake people up? I mean, and I shouldn't put it that way. I know a lot of people are awake and are concerned, but we just have to stop letting the MAGA Republicans, who are a very small percentage of this country,
That's important.
define our future. We must define our future. How do we do that?
And part of that has to do, and this is going to be obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway.
The jobs, the fact we're not producing new jobs, the tariffs. I mean, I think everyone's going to see it quickly. I'm looking at September and October, but that being said, this thing in DC, which let's be honest, is partly at least partly to distract from the Epstein files, but I think that the people in the administration are working really hard to consolidate power before they lose Trump. Because the other thing that showed up in today's press conference is he is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I mean, he is not going to make it 3.5 more years. And yet he's the one with the political support. So if they can get all that, all the systems in place, they can just shoehorn JD Vance in there and we'll be stuck with what we got. And that, I guess maybe that's why I was so freaking angry this morning, is because that, I think, is the long game. And all these people who are sort of smugly laughing about, oh, well, ha ha, the libs are getting owned, don't seem to be, you know what it feels like? It feels like the House, maybe I'll write about this. It feels like the House divided speech, where everybody was reacting to, a Supreme Court decision or something that Congress did or something that, the president did. And it was Lincoln who stood up and said, look, they're framing a house. They're putting all these pieces in place. And if you think that they're doing that randomly, you're nuts, because what they're doing is they're creating a new nation based in human enslavement. And I feel like we're at that moment now where you look at all the pieces they are building. Project 2025, they are building Christian nationalism for the benefit of a very few people. And the smug sort of laughing like this isn't really happening is really getting to me.
Well,
Okay, now this is another historian. This is Robert Reich. He's also a professor. He's taught at colleges, and just like Heather Richardson, and he knows what he's talking about. He he's a whiz on economy and history. He's worked for the government before in the past, and he has an excellent YouTube presence. And I think you ought to check him out. I mean, he's another one who is worth watching, and see what he has to say. Okay, here we go.
Income tax through the 16th Amendment, as well as 2 wealth taxes. The first wealth tax in 1916 was the estate tax, a tax on the wealth of someone accumulated during their lifetime, paid by the heirs who inherited it. The second tax on wealth, enacted in 1922, was a capital gains tax, a tax on the increased value of assets paid when those assets were sold. The reformers of the Gilded Age also stopped corporations from directly giving money to politicians or political candidates. And then Teddy Roosevelt's fifth cousin, you may have heard of him, continued the work through his New Deal programs, creating Social Security, unemployment insurance, a 40-hour work week, and requiring that employers bargain in good faith with labor unions. But following the death of FDR and the end of World War II, when America was building the largest middle class the world had ever seen, we seem to forget about the abuses of the Gilded Age. Now, more than a century later, America has entered a second Gilded Age. It's also a time of extraordinary invention, and a time when monopolies are taking over vast swaths of the economy. So we must renew antitrust enforcement to bust up powerful companies. Now, another generation of robber barons is accumulating unprecedented money and power. So once again, we must tax these exorbitant fortunes. Wealthy individuals and big corporations are once again paying off lawmakers, sending them billions to conduct their political campaigns, even giving luxurious gifts to Supreme Court justices. So we need to protect our democracy from big money, just as we did before. Voter suppression runs rampant in the states, as during the first Gilded Age, making it harder for people of color to participate in what's left of our democracy. So it's once again critical to defend and expand voting rights. Working people are once again being exploited and abused. Child labor is returning. Unions are busted. The poor are again living in unhealthy conditions. Homelessness is on the rise. And the gap between the ultra-rich and everyone else is nearly as large as in the first Gilded Age. So,
And here's another, last but not least, for this video, is John Flannery. Now, John is, okay, he's not only super smart and intelligent and knows what he's talking about, but he knows law. I mean, he's been a prosecutor, a public defender. You can also see him on, I think it's MSNBC. He's sometimes on there as a expert. He does these walks and talks where he, talks about what's going on and the legal aspects and so on and so forth. He's another one, and he doesn't have long videos. They're usually just, around 15 minutes or so. And so he's another one that I recommend. So let's get on. This is John Flannery. And so this whole video here is smart people, okay? All right.
To do laps. It's sort of a moving meditation. Anyhow, Trump is still insisting the numbers are wrong. He's going to keep saying it like your younger brother until you punch your brother in the mouth, or you say, yeah, sure, you're right. And I guess that's what he plays upon. He's a psychotic with a low IQ. And my wife Holly the other day saw a story that said his IQ was 71, but as far as I can tell, no one knows what his IQ is. I suppose 100 is average. These tests have their limitations. I think we can just look at what he does and decide that trying to choose a path for legacy, success in any traditional manner, even if he sees himself as Alexander the Great, he's failed at every turn. And to try to say that the numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics are wrong, for any of us who spend any time reading them and thinking about them, they're quite detailed, and they force you to consider what the stats say. And so his question should be, troubled Trump instead of bullying a capable official with a long history of dealing with numbers and data that Trump doesn't know a damn thing about, the national conversation should be, what went wrong here? You invite her and others to your office. What should we do, brother, until you you punch your brother in the mouth, or you say, yeah, sure, you're right. And I guess that's what he plays upon. He's a psychotic with a low IQ. And my wife Holly the other day saw a story that said his IQ was 71, but as far as I can tell, no one knows what his IQ is. I suppose 100 is average. These tests have their limitations. I think we can just look at what he does and decide that trying to choose a path for legacy, success in any traditional manner, even if he sees himself as Alexander the Great, he's failed at every turn. And to try to say that the numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics are wrong, for any of us who spend any time reading them and thinking about them, they're quite detailed, and they force you to consider what the stats say. And so his question should be, troubled Trump, instead of bullying a capable official with a long history of dealing with numbers and data that Trump doesn't know a damn thing about, the national conversation should be, what went wrong here? You invite her and others to your office. He doesn't want to hear that the large corporations that are taking advantage or will take advantage of his programs, they don't need to hire people. He's giving them the money. So that's one step today in this danger. Another example is Trump thinks of taking over the District of Columbia because a former Doge worker was attacked. And you don't have to follow this stuff very carefully, but you may remember that one of the guys that Elon Musk had hanging around and
Okay, friends, that's it for this video. And sorry about the sound issues. When I'm talking, you have to turn it up. When the clips are playing, you have to turn it down. Because I screwed up, of course. Normally, when I record, I disconnect my camera and I connect the microphone over here, and then it tapes better. It does better. But I forgot to do that. So, shoot me. So anyway, well, that's it for this video, and thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And I'm trying to do something different on these channels I'm recommending. Just because, that's just who I am. I like putting different kinds of content, not just one thing. And so I have others listed here, some really good ones coming up, and I hope you enjoy them. I hope you want to check out these other channels, and if not, that's okay too. But I'm gonna get off here. I got another video I'm probably gonna make. I got some stuff coming. I want to do an unboxing, and so you're just so wonderful. You guys are so cute. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. I love you, and I hope you get something out of it. And well, if not, that's okay. There's gonna be other videos about other stuff, and so I just wanted you know, put out there different kinds of stuff. Uh, okay? All right. I love you. Take care. Bye bye. Subscribe and like. Thank you. Thanks for watching.